Ryan Goodman and Tanguay podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network.
Hey, everybody. This episode of the Bob, Ryan, Jeff Goodman, Tanguay Along for the Ride podcast is brought to you by FanDuel, the exclusive wagering partner of the CLNS Media Network. Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs because right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Okay, guys, let's talk about our Boston Celtics. Boy, what a trick-or-treat club. This was a crazy series. Bob, we're going to start with you. Jayson Tatum stepped up when he had to. The Celtics got it done when they had to. And I just found this whole series perplexing.
It's an adventure. How's that for a benign word? It is an adventure. You know, I've been skeptical about them. I said I don't trust them. I wasn't full of great confidence necessarily. They come up big in Game 7, even though I wasn't. Game 6, I wasn't shocked that they played well. I think they're still trying to earn our trust, my trust, and that was a great performance by Jayson Tatum. There's no yeah but attached to that. And so in that sense, I'm very pleased. But the thing is, I think this morning what I'm most thinking about is it felt like it should be a finality of something. We got a long way to go.
Yes, halfway there, halfway home. Hey Gary, I don't think the Celtics are going to invite Bob on the duck boats for the parade this year with how skeptical he's been about this team.
Well, but he's been on the money.
He has been on the money. I'll say this, and I can't wait to hear Bob put this into context. That was one of the greatest performances, all-around performances I've ever seen in a pressure situation from Jayson Tatum. From a guy that, again, a lot of people question, could he come up big in huge moments? He did it in every way. It wasn't just 51. It was a clean 51. It was an efficient 51. It was more than just him, honestly, just looking for numbers and looking to score. He rebounded at a high level. He made good decisions when he needed to. It wasn't like he was just kind of chucking and going after points the whole game. It was listen, I've seen this kid play now since he was 15 years old. So what is he, 24 right now? 24? 25. So I've seen him play for 10 years. I don't know how many times in the course of my lifetime I've seen him play at the high school, college, and now NBA level. That might be the best all-around performance I've ever seen for Jayson Tatum.
You're right about the fact that he didn't force anything. And as a matter of fact, he went almost a period and a half having taken one face-up jumper. But he didn't make a face-up jumper in the first period, but he had 11 points. And then once he started, when he hit, he took good shots for him. You know, good. I mean, they're long threes. A couple times, guys hand in the face, but that's what he can make. But he played with poise and efficiency. No, there's no question about it. And it was one of the great performances that I've ever seen. I've been watching, obviously Celtics as a fan since '64, and as a writer since '69, and lived through Havlicek and Bird and Pierce, and this stands up there with their great performances in the clutch. Game 7 speak for themselves, and talk about Game 7 performances. We've rhapsodized about Max in '84, and he was great, and he did dominate that game, but it was 24 points, but it was very important. It was a very important 24 points, but this was 51. I was marveling, guys, as they were pulling away, how he had half the team's points or just under deeply into the game. That's remarkable.
Yeah, like you said, the key was taking it to the basket in the first half. That was the key to the game, is that opened it up for him, because then it's hard to guard him, right? Then you got to give him something, and you're going to give him the three, and if he's making the three, he's almost
remember that spin move with the left-hand finish?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. That is not a move that you would have seen in the 50s or 60s, guys, from a guy 6'10". Let me assure you, there was nobody playing in the 50s or 60s who was making that shot. I'll give you that.
That was a jaw dropper. I also want to point out for Tatum is even in the previous game, where he didn't score a lot in the first half, came on strong in the second half. It was too little too late. He was still doing other things. While he has scored the 51, which he has to do. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know, he's the man. Game 7, you got to go do it. But throughout this series, I've seen Jayson Tatum become a more complete player, Bob. He does other things now. When the shots weren't falling, he was looking for other guys. He was getting stops. He was playing some defense.
He led the team in all 3 categories, by the way.
There you go.
All 3. And so no, it was a brilliant basketball performance. And of course they all can take bows for the defense. I want to get to that in a minute. But no, this was a day he answered a lot of questions, and I'm happy for him. I mean, he deserves all the nice things that are being said.
Jeff, how do you feel about Philadelphia?
Well, as we're recording this at 5:00 on Monday night, Doc Rivers is still employed. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, because again, you know, Doc's record in Game 7s, as we know, is not pretty. He let this one slip away. People are killing Doc, Embiid, Harden, you name it. You know, there's plenty of blame to go around in the blame game pie. You know, listen, again, I don't think we ever thought this Philly team was really a championship team or really a team that could beat Boston until they went up 3-2.
Yeah,
and then it was like, okay,
I mean,
now
Boston
you got some pressure on.
Right. I mean, look, Jeff, if the Celtics had lost this series, we would have said it was a choke.
Yes. And now it's a choke for Philly based on the fact that they had the Celtics on the ropes at home in Game 6. And let that one, and how they let that one slip away.
Yeah. Now, let's say this: people are going to talk about the 33 points in the 33-10 third period, but what struck me the most was the 10. And during that third period, would you agree, guys, that they had somewhere between 3 and 6 of the ugliest possessions a professional basketball team can have? I mean, they looked completely pathetic on
where was Embiid? Where was Embiid? You got to get him the ball. I get it. Horford was doing a good job, but again, here was the difference in the game to me, and the difference in the last 2 games, to some degree, was Robert Williams just being on the court. He didn't even have to do that much. Just by the fact that Robert Williams was on the court, it made it so Joel Embiid could not play free safety anymore.
Taking a break from the fellas. Make a fast break to FanDuel during the NBA playoffs, because right now new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. We're talking about FanDuel. I mean, people love it. You hear it's everywhere. They have great promotions every day. The app is safe and secure. You get paid instantly when you use the app. That's enough of a reason to get it right now. So download that app. No better place to bet all your playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/Boston and get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's FanDuel.com/Boston. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. 21 plus in select states. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 14 days. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/Sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Call 800-GAMBLER or visit FanDuel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Minnesota, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Tennessee, and Virginia. 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342 in Arizona. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana, gamblinghelplinema.org, or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Visit www.mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland, 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY at 467369 in New York, 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming, or visit www.1800gambler.com gambler.net in West Virginia. That's 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia. All right, let's get back to the guys.
He couldn't just wait for Tatum, right? He couldn't wait for those other guys. He had to worry about the lob threat that was behind him, that was wherever in Robert Williams. He also, on the other end, had to worry about Robert Williams on the defensive end coming from the weak side. Not that, again, Embiid can't take care of Robert Williams at times, but when Horford's there and he's got help behind him, it's a difference maker on both ends of the court. I didn't think I would say that with Robert Williams because, again, he's not reliable in a lot of ways, but just his mere presence on the court changed how Joel Embiid thought and how he played.
Well, let's go back to why he was in the game. He was inserted in the starting lineup in game 5 or 6, excuse me. And after much agitation from the fans and media. So I don't know whether Joe came to this conclusion all by himself or who no, seriously, or who,
Well, Derek White had been terrible too, Bob. So it was a combination. I think it was like, you know what? We're not getting anything from Derek White at this point. No. So we might as well change it up and see what we can get from Robert Williams. And again, smart to Robert Williams has always been, they've kind of had a little bit of chemistry there with the lob and the bailout. So I think that helps. But yeah, I think it was a combination of Mazzulla saying, you know what? I got to try something at this point, and Derek White's not giving me anything.
Okay, guys, now let's look ahead. Bob, what are your thoughts on a Boston-Miami matchup?
That, and joining the mainstream thought, that I have great respect for Spoelstra. Obviously, the Butler as a playoff behemoth, there's no myth. Bam gives them trouble, has always traditionally given them trouble. I'm just glad, but they're catching a break, as they did last year when they played the Bucks without Middleton. They're catching a break. They're playing them without Tyler Hero, and he's a very significant piece in their puzzle. I will be disappointed if they don't win. I think it will be a grinder. I think it'll be a teeth grinding 6, and that's my call.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, I don't think anything's going to be easy when you have the best coach left, to me, of the 4, and Spoelstra's been incredible. The culture, Miami, and Jimmy Butler, who's tough and seems to play big for the most part in the postseason. I just think, again, you beat them last year. The Celtics are better. I think we can agree, talent-wise. Now, maybe, again, coaching is the one question mark here, but Miami's not as good without Hero. The Celtics are better. They're healthy. I don't know. I mean, again, to me, 6 is probably the right number here.
An X factor I'm throwing out there is our one-time podcast guest, Duncan Robinson, who is, after all, has the same job description as Hero. And he once held that job very, very well, to the point where he's getting paid a lot of money. But he was completely dropped out of the rotation during the course of this season and is only being restored now because Hero is back. Yeah. And he hasn't really had any consistency in what he's done. He had one game, I know he hit a few, but if he gets in his rhythm, he'll help them. But I think it's interesting, guys. They got 2 venerable veterans who are part of the mix. Kyle Lowry and Kevin Love.
Yeah.
Kevin Love's playing 21 minutes a game, during which he is being Kevin Love. He's getting 8 rebounds a game in those 20 minutes, guys. So, it's interesting. It's an interesting mix. And now I'll ask you, Jeff, is there an underrated player in the mix with Martin and Struss, do you think, and Vincent? Should people know more about any of these guys?
Yeah, you remember Struss hit some big shots last year in the playoffs against the Celtics. Early in the series to help him get a win. Gabe Vincent's been great and allowed Kyle Lowry to have a little bit of a lesser role now as he's gotten older. But Kevin Love's the interesting one because I thought he was done. And Cleveland didn't really want him a year or 2 ago, and he finds new life. And again, the thing you got to watch out for the Celtics, as much as anything, that outlet pass. When he gets the ball off the glass, get the hell back and get back quickly.
He is the last great outlet passer active on this earth. The only other ones are watching from the stands. He is. I like having him. I like the idea of him. So I'm kind of, it's going to be fun. Lowry's had his moments for them. I mean, he's certainly in the back nine. We know that, but they're not asking him to do too much. You know, he's not primary. He's auxiliary, and he's savvy. You know, but
would you stay with the two big lineup now? Would you guys stay with the two big lineup since it's worked?
Yeah.
Obviously, in game 6 and 7, really in game 7, it really worked. Would you stick with it now, even though the personnel is obviously different for Miami?
Personnel is different, but Bam's a low post load.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I think that there's justification for the reason that you explained earlier about Horford on the guy and Williams being a rover to a degree. You know, now granted Billy had PJ Tucker, who did, by the way, hit 3 in a row in the first quarter.
He did.
But,
Wide open.
But, you know, you'll have to honor Strus, no kidding, and you got to honor Martin too, Caleb Martin, right? To a degree, you got to honor.
Yeah,
him.
Martin's been good. They do a great job developing their talent because again, they got a bunch of dudes that
they're great
nobody's heard of.
undrafted. You know, we're talking about Vincent, Strus, and Martin all undrafted, and they're all primary players. Oh, no other team can make a statement like that.
Nope,
that's for sure. So that's a tribute to Eric Spoelstra and his staff. There's no question about it. All right, Butler. What about Butler? You know, he's gone like 7 games without a 56-point game, so maybe he's cooling off.
Listen, you know, to me, you still dare Jimmy Butler to shoot the 3. That's what you do because he's not a great 3-point shooter, but when he gets going, he's streaky. He can make them. You know, again, I think they've got enough guys that they can rotate on him. Try to wear him down because so much is going to be on him. If Jimmy Butler doesn't go for 30, I don't know how Miami wins.
Yeah, not the series. No, you know, Bam could go up, but they don't have the man-to-man matchup. No, they do not. They do not. So, you know, but don't get cocky, fans. Your team still has 2 series. They got 8 games to it. 8 games they got to win.
This team makes things difficult for themselves.
They do. They
make things difficult for themselves. All right, guys, how do we feel about the Lakers Denver now? Bob, you go first.
I think that the Lakers, LeBron is supremely motivated. They're dangerous, but we all know that they almost he's going to do what he's going to do. I think every night it's AD when he plays when he's the best player on the floor. The Lakers are very tough to beat. And he has had the big question: can he get through 7 games without an owie of some kind? Because he has this knack of getting hurt. But they're playing. This is this ultimate scenario that everyone wondered it could happen. It's happened. They've gone from 2-10 start, and here they are, and they've earned it. Now I've been saying all year, not all year, the beginning of playoffs, nobody outside of Denver respected Denver. Well, we have to respect them now. I think we've seen what they can be. And Jokic, there's nobody like Jokic. There's nobody like him. And he's going to get his numbers. They're not going to stop Jokic. No, period. He's going to put up this.
Is he really like Sabonis? I know you didn't see young Sabonis as much because obviously he wasn't. Are they similar?
Yeah, it's kind of it's the same mold, if you will. The Sabonis was stronger, much stronger.
Yeah.
You know, Jokic, you know, has a questionable, barely has an athletic NBA body, you know, to the sight, you know, on the eye test.
Right.
But he is interesting, guys, because he plays at his pace. No one can deter him from doing it. And that pace is not a 33 and a third. It's not a 78. It's a steady 45. And he does it every night he goes wherever he wants to go at his pace. And no one has no one's got the formula to stop him. You know, I think that I won't say X factor. Murray can be very good. You know, Murray can be very good. They got some, you know, but
Michael Porter Jr.
I was just going to say, watch out. Watch out for him.
Listen, the interesting matchup, Gary, is going to be AD against Jokic. Like, they're just so different. They're so vastly different. AD looks the part. He's the new age NBA. He's what everybody wants. Jokic is a guy that, like, we should get Ed Pinckney on here at some point because I remember Izzy Ed was an assistant Jokic's first year in Denver, and he came over to me. I was at a game somewhere. Denver was playing, and he came up to me. He goes, "You got to watch this kid. He's going to be that good." I'm like, him? Like, no way. So Easy Egg called it, I think, before just about anybody, because he literally worked with Jokic every single day. So maybe if Denver, maybe even next week, I'll see what Easy's doing and see if we can we can get him on the pod.
After I didn't pay any attention to him as a rookie. Really didn't. He's out in the West. They're not on TV. It was off my radar screen. Then I got a phone call from a writer in Denver who wanted to do a story about Jokic and his passing. And of course, he called me to talk about Walton, because Walton is the gold standard of all passers who've ever played center in the NBA. And I poo-pooed the idea that anybody could be entered into the same discussion. Well, obviously, I've learned that if anybody ever could, it's this guy. He is extraordinary passing center, versatile, and he'll throw an outlet too. By the way, he can do it all. Passing, he's the consummate passer.
All right, guys. To wrap it up, Jeff, how do you feel about all the coaching moves?
I mean, listen, I'm dying to know Bob's take on all this, but this is awful. This has been absolutely atrocious. I mean, again, Monty Williams is the last one to get hit. A couple of years after going to the NBA Finals, we had Bud get fired a couple of years after winning the title. Nick Nurse fired 4 years after winning the title in Toronto. Frank Vogel's out. He won a title in the bubble. He's long gone. Like, Doc Rivers could be next. I mean, this is just, I just have a hard time with this, Bob. I don't like it. I don't understand it. I get everything's about, immediate gratification now, but like, doesn't winning a title give you some equity? Doesn't it give you a few years before you get whacked? For Nick Nurse, I know got a few, but Bud, and I know there's other factors that came into play here. I've heard Bud is not easy to deal with, according to some sources that I talked to, but man, like this has become a joke.
Well, the Monty Williams one, a couple of things here. One is that how can anybody blame him for an incomplete roster? They were very thin. Paul got hurt.
Yep.
I mean, come on.
Ayton got hurt.
Yeah, KD got hurt. I mean, come on. Number two, this guy is a loose cannon owner. It's obvious.
Yeah, and I wasn't willing to say that at first because I just felt like he was a walk-on for Tom Izzo. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, right? Like, he's got to be smart. He's made all this money in his mortgage company. But you know what the red flag is, Bob? You know what the red flag is for me? You know who his big confidant is, who's sitting next to him at some of these games, right?
I forget. Tell me, I know.
Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas. Oh, boy. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's not. No, Monty, I think we can safely say that all three gentlemen involved will be employed again and fairly soon and somewhere else. But you're right. This coaching thing, it's disturbing. But, nobody's more philosophical about it than Doc. If Doc gets whacked, Doc's already said, he knows the old line about coaches are hired to get fired. There's nobody more aware of that than Doc Rivers. I mean, he's a big grown up. He knows. And I wouldn't, because we won't be shocked because people will point to this record in the playoffs and hold him accountable. I mean, I'm afraid, even though there are other reasons why Philly lost a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Ben Simmons maybe, and didn't he win a ring here in Boston?
Oh, yeah. So, but it's just, so we got, well, yeah, we got that. But this is business as usual, guys.
Hey, you know what we'll know by the time we record this podcast next week, Gary?
Yes.
You know what we're going to know? We won't know probably who won any of the series is, but we will know where Victor Wembanyama will be playing.
We do. That's right. Tuesday night, and absolutely, I'm dying of curiosity there.
Me too.
We will break it down then, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us. This has been the Bob Bryant, Jeff Goodman, Tanguay Along for the Ride podcast, brought to you by FanDuel. And make a fast break to FanDuel for the NBA playoffs, because right now new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. Gents, we'll talk to you next time.
Okay, guys.
CLNS Media's Celtics coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.